Greetings, Patrick here. Have Tito will view 8 questions with, and welcome to the show. Um, so this week has been all sorts of craziness, all sorts of crazy. Um, two of our two of my best friends are sick, and our guest Kyle, we found out exactly what happened to him, and quite honestly, we're blessed that he's still with us. That's how sick he is, and just hopefully that he will be able to come back. Yeah, he's pretty sick. Um, so it's been a rough week, though. It's been a rough week, to be honest with you, around here as well. But I'm not in the hospital, so I guess that's one good thing. But I want to shout outs to Kyle, and hopefully he recovers quick. Um, hey, wow, hey, what's going on? Hi, Tony. How are you? Greg? Anthony? Wow. All right. This is cool. Um, our good friend Hobbs and Katie they both got COVID this week. So that's a bummer. They're both being quarantined. I s- I'm not surprised to see that COVID is reeling its ugly head still. It's a rough business. Um, Hey Reed, how are you? How are you? Wow, this is great. Thank you guys so much. Um, that's why we were dark. Our guest yesterday, Greg Sherrod from the Dive podcast, he didn't make it yesterday. He had to go out of town for some sort of consultation. But we will try to reschedule folks as soon as we can. Um, so right now we are headed into March. We have this tonight's show with Brendan Gabriel Murphy, an award-winning screenwriter and film director, and this gentleman has been doing a lot of good things for a long time, and he's got a brand new movie out called Fluxx that looks absolutely fire. Cannot wait to talk to him about that. Um, it looks really good. It looks really good. The looks really good. Um, I'm excited for him. He's done some great work in the past. He's worked with some very talented people. So he will be here with us in about 10 or 12 minutes. Um, Share us out if you care to. Uh, hey, Sue, how are you? How are you? All right. All right. Um, uh, uh, this is exciting. This is this. I have not had so many people walk in here so soon in a long time. I mean, this is amazing. Thank you so much. Definitely need it today. So yes, so we have had a rough week here as far as guests go, but I have to say, as rough as we've had it, we still haven't had it as bad as the incident in Glasgow, Scotland. So I'm not sure if you guys have heard this one or not, but some sketchy company called House of Imilani, they created a supposed to be an interactive, immersive tour. It was called Willie's Chocolate Factory or something like that. It was supposed to be based on the Willy Wonka, even though it wasn't Willy Wonka. So if you have $35 or $45 an American, um, you're going to be able to take your kid into this wonderful world of make believe. See all these great different rooms and props and actors, and it's supposed to be just a great experience. But if you walked in after paying your money, you walked into basically an empty warehouse with two or three props tossed around. Um, you had a couple of people, two or three people are acting. One was a Oompa Loompa. One was supposed to be Willy Wonka. I don't know how many other people they had in there, but it was horrible, horrible. There was nothing in the warehouse. You could look this up online. It's hilarious, except for if you're the one paying the money. So you go in there. You're supposed to go all these little tours and all these little places, and so you didn't really get to do that. For refreshments, and I wish I was making this up because I don't think I could, but every kid got a quarter cup of lemonade. They got This is the truth. I'm not making this up. Each kid got one jelly bean. One jelly bean. One. Not like a bag, not like a cup full, not like a Halloween little miniature pack. One jelly bean for their 35 bucks, 35 pounds. Needless to say that a lot of parents were really pissed off. They called the police. The police came out there. They At least the company had a little bit of good sense to shut it down. Probably a good thing. I felt really bad for the actors in it. They were just they were hired to do a job. Not even sure if they even got paid. Not even sure if they got paid. They were supposed to be being paid $500 for this adventure, and I'm not sure if they even got paid, but they did try for what they got. They found out later on that they were supposed to be doing some sort of dialogue, like, here, when they come through your section, read this script. Everything seemed to be created by AI. You could tell that because there's a lot of misspelled words. It just didn't make any sense at all. Um, I don't know, man. I don't know. I felt super bad for except for the organizers. The organizers, yeah, they need to answer for that. That was a straight out theft. $35. I mean, you should refund every single person their money without a doubt, and pay your actors without a doubt. Um, just it's a weird one. You can check it out though. There's plenty of videos online. Just type in Willie Glasgow, Scotland, and see what happens. All right. So today is the last day. This is gonna be the last show of February. We will be dark tomorrow. Normally we have a show tomorrow. I did not schedule one. I did schedule a show for Friday though. However, Friday we'll be here. We'll be back on Friday. And let me tell you what we got coming up here on March. So on Friday, we will be welcoming in Terry Jarrell, director Terry and screenwriter Terry Jarrell, and actor John Egan from the movie Harlow's Haunt, and they will be here with us at 8 o'clock on Friday. Um, like I said, Terry wrote the story, he directed it, he co-wrote it, and he directed the movie. And John Egan is one of the stars of the film, and they will be here with us on the first, and talk about Harlow's Haunt, which is out on Bayview Entertainment, and you can also watch it now on Tubi. Okay, so next Tuesday when we come back, next Tuesday, the first week of March, March 5th, we welcome in actress and model Nikki Serenity will be here with us. Nikki Serenity will be with us, and some pretty interesting news about that is Nikki's coming on. Like I said, she's a model, and she is well known for an aspect of her modeling, and she also will be a guest on the Dr. Phil show on Friday the 8th. I believe Friday the 8th or the 7th. I'll double check that. She's also going to be appearing on Dr. Phil's show, to talk about her modeling career and herself. So it's interesting. I did not know that was happening until last week. When we booked the show, I had no idea that she had done Dr. Phil. Um, so that's gonna be pretty fun, and it'll be a very interesting discussion. And she seems like a very lovely young lady. She's very outgoing, and I can't wait to talk to her. And of course, she's absolutely beautiful as well, right? On the 6th of March, Wednesday, we are welcoming back filmmaker and filmmaker and actress Jamie Olsen from Olsen Productions. She will come back and say hi to us. It's been a while since we've had Jamie on the show, and we will catch up with her and her career. I do know that she has one movie that's out called The Hard Hit that is out, and I know she's working on some other ones even as we speak. Hey, Echo, how are you? How are you? Okay. So Jamie Olsen will be back on the 6th, and then on the 7th we have actress and model Jonah Hodge with us. I her name I hope I'm pronouncing that right as Jonah, um, and she will be here with us at 8 o'clock, and we'll be talking all things spooky with her. She works as an actress. She works as a haunt actress. She also does, like I said, she also does modeling as well. And she will be here with us on next Thursday the 7th. Um, on the 11th, we have artist Mandy Raven will be here with us at 8 o'clock, and looking forward to meeting Mandy Raven. She is I believe she is a painter and drawer. She draws and she paints. Um, and so we're really happy to have another artist come onto the show. I'm always looking for them. Those who were here last week saw our interview with Greg Scorpion, who's in the chat right there, and we talked to him about his metal sculpting. So always looking for cool artists to come onto the show. On the 12th, we have makeup artist and actress Haley Elizabeth on the 12th. On the 13th, we're going to have a very interesting show on the 13th. We're going to be interviewing two people who are just literally starting out on their careers. One will be a young man named Khalil Neal. He has directed his first film called Tennessee Bigfoot, and you know that we had to have him on the show with a movie like that. Tennessee Bigfoot. Hell yes, that's us. We'll also be talking with young actress Nicole Ann will be with us on the 13th. One other special show I want to mention real quick on the March 22nd. Well, I'll have to save that because the doorbell just rang, and you know what that means. Once the doorbell rings, our guest is here, and we are ready to go. So thank you for coming in. Share us out if you can, and let's go talk to Brendan Murphy. Here we go. Greetings.
How you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
Yeah. How'd the meeting with Live Nation go? Have not heard that name for quite a while.
Good. Yeah, I have a TV series in development with them about a rock and roll band. So bringing rock,
Yeah.
bringing
Well,
rock back to
it's
life.
def- it's definitely about time that we had a good rock and roll TV series. We haven't. I don't think I've seen any. I think the last series with music in it was Nashville, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a big one. That was a big one. It's a tough genre because it's been done before. So how constructing something new and different to is that's the challenge. So I think we came up with something pretty original, and that's why we partner with Live Nation, because who knows the music world better than the biggest entertainment concert promoting and touring company in the world. So
I first saw them when they were before they became Live Nation. I think they were Clear Nation, or they were before they changed their name. They're taking over all the venues back in the turn of the century. I know several. They took over like Bill Graham Presents, and they took over some other ones that I knew about. The Amir Daza, who was a big shot here in Detroit, they came out and bought him out as well. So now they have Pine Knob, and they have Middlebrook. Um,
yeah.
Live Nation is a massive. It is the player for live
Mm-hmm.
music. Um,
Yeah.
I didn't know they were going to get into entertainment though. Is this the first time they're venturing into something like this?
Well, they do a lot of rock documentaries. That's what they're really known for in like the TV and film space. But they also were a producer on the Bradley Cooper Lady Gaga movie, A Star Is Born. So,
Mhm.
um, that was a big one. But they haven't done a scripted TV show before. This is their first one. So hopefully it all comes together and we can pull it off.
Yeah, that'd be cool because, like I said, I mean, a lot of times, a lot of music series, uh, they do come out and they do seem to, like Nashville. I don't know what they did, but they got it right because I believe that they were on till for 5 years. That's something to shoot for. Um,
I know. Yeah, that was a big show. That had a really big following, that show. Yeah.
Well, tough market though, right? You think
Oh yeah.
where do you think a show like this today would fit at? Would it be, I don't know. Do you think it's more networky, or do you like to see going to slightly more edgier streaming platforms?
Yes, streaming a little bit more edgier. Even though like the demo is still like skews a little younger, not like tween or anything like that, maybe more 18 to 34, but definitely edgier because my style and the way I write is definitely edgy.
Uh,
I it's more fun. It's more fun to write edgier material. So
well, I saw you got Flux off. Flux is coming really soon. It's in post production. I saw the cast for that movie, and I could instantly tell that yes, you'd like to write edgier because that's a very edgy cast you got there. Um,
yeah,
let's talk a little bit before we get into the background. Let's talk a little bit about Flux because I was
all
pretty
right.
jazzed about it. I mean, I know all. I don't know the definitely know Shiloh Hernandez. I
Yeah,
know who he is.
Fernandez. Yeah,
Hernandez. I
he's
know who
yeah,
Shiloh.
yeah.
He's a talent.
He is. He's my best friend, actually. So
Really. Oh,
yeah, I put.
we're gonna be talking after the show then, because that's someone who I would love to talk to him because I saw him in a movie that he did called Return to Sender.
Oh yeah, good film.
Oh,
Good film. Yeah,
great film. Great
yeah,
film.
yeah,
Very, very underrated. Nobody talks about that movie, but that movie is bonkers.
yeah. I love that movie. He did a
I
great
love it.
job in that film.
He
Wait do you
did.
see him in this one? Wait do you see him in this one? He's amazing in it. And I actually put Shiloh in the first thing he ever acted in ever. Was a short film of mine. Yeah, that I made. I was living in Venice Beach at the time, and I wrote this wild short film, and I shot it in my apartment in Venice Beach. I lived right on the boardwalk on the beach, and this Shiloh had never acted before, and I put him in it, and I guess sky's the limit. And look where he
That
is
was
now.
Swerve, right?
Swerve,
That
no, that it was even before Swerve. It was called a short called Wasted. Swerve I made with him and Juno Temple. That one kind of helped really launch my directing career. I won a lot of awards for that one and helped get me my first feature. And still really proud of that short film. Yeah,
of course, sure. I
yeah,
love short films too. Short films are definitely one of my favorites. I'm going to go to
me
the
too.
chat real quick because some people want to say hello. Hello,
Okay,
Echo. How are you, Stephen? How are you? Our friend Tony Toss says hello, Brendan. Thank you for that.
hello.
Thank you for that. And I think she said, "Oh, my favorite." I think she mentioned maybe Nashville being one of her favorite films. Yeah, our favorite TV series. I agree. I heard. I have. I'll be honest with you. I have TV per se in here, so I didn't really get to catch that show. But I followed it on the news, so I knew
Mhm.
what it was about, and that's how I know how good it was.
Yeah.
Um, but I come from a live music background myself. I worked for 10 years as a talent buyer in California.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I know music's in my blood.
That's in your
Um,
blood.
yes. So
Yeah.
you got Shiloh Hernandez.
Hmm.
Um,
Fernandez. Yep. Hmm.
I'm gonna get that right. And you got a young lady who I'm new to me in the movie.
Yeah.
Uh, uh,
Shelly Hennig.
Jelly Jelly Hennig.
Yeah.
Now is she related to? I know. I'm sure you get this question already. Is she related to the Hennings family from the wrestling world, or is she totally different?
I don't think so. No.
Okay,
No.
because I saw the name and I'm going like I've only
Yeah.
seen that name out elsewhere one time, and that was with the wrestler.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
okay, so I just want to know if she came from the family. You also have another. You got your cast for this movie. did you cast this yourself? Did you write? Did you when you wrote this, and then you and then to direct it? Did you do all the casting for this yourself, or did you have help? Because it just seems like it's so well put together that it's like someone had a purpose for this.
Well, I definitely had a purpose for it. I did cast some of my friends who are actors in the film, but I also had the help of Michelle Lewitt, who's a casting director. She's the one that brought me, Shelley, and brought her audition to me, and Shelley just knocked it out of the park, and she just blew my mind. And she's been around in the game for a while. She was one of the stars of that TV show Teen Wolf on MTV, which is
Oh,
which yeah, it already had a big following, and then during COVID, it got a whole new like cult following. So she has a huge fan base around that TV show, and she's been acting for a very long time. She did a couple of Blumhouse movies, a couple of horror films for Blumhouse when she was a little younger, and then she was on a few different TV series as well. She started off as a pageant girl, believe it or not, in Louisiana, and then
really?
I guess went into soap operas, and then from there her acting career kind of like just
It
took
went
off. Yeah,
Teen Wolf. Did you know about? Did you ever watch that show, Teen Wolf?
not really my type of show. I'm a little older, so that's not really my genre. But I've seen an episode or two, and she's great in it.
That fan base is fanatic.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's yeah.
Hardcore,
It bodes
hardcore.
yeah, hardcore. It bodes
Yeah,
well for your movie. It bodes well for your movie.
yeah.
It's yeah. You're gonna get a lot of heads because they love her.
They
Yeah,
do.
they're,
They do.
even today, Brendan, they are. I mean, once in a while, I'll go on a board, just to, then and they'll have a Teen Wolf thread.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, it's like these people. It's like the show's been over with for a while, boys and well, they don't care. They keep saying, "Bring it back, bring it back." It's fanatical. It's awesome. It's awesome. And then you got Tyrese.
Yes,
You got Tyrese from the Fast
Mr.
and the Furious
Gibson. Yeah,
franchise.
I
Yes,
know.
I'm super stoked to see him on the big screen. He is so magnetic whenever he pops on. Whenever he's on, the camera loves him, obviously.
Oh
And
yeah,
he's a good actor.
he
Um,
really is.
he really is. People sleep on him, I think. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah,
I,
he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. I think he's been in massive films, Transformers, and the whole Fast and the Furious franchise. The thing is, he gets cast a lot in these action roles, and in this film, I have him in more of a dramatic role, which is really nice to see him in. He's phenomenal in the film, so it's pretty
The
cool.
one role. Yeah, it's funny because when people mention that, I keep on thinking of the one role that I saw him in that really convinced me. Like, man, he's not stunt casting. He can do this, and he did
Yeah.
a horror film called Legion,
Oh yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Legion. Yep. Yep.
man, he was really good in that. So you got your movie is ready to rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
What was it like?
The premiere is this weekend. So
Are you ready? Are you ready for the success from it? Because I think it's
I
going to be
hope
a hit.
so. Me too. I hope so. It's been a really uh, it's been a really tough film to get over the finish line. We ran into a lot of problems. I mean, every project has their own problems, but this was by far the hardest project I've ever done in my life. Not because of the filmmaking part of it, because of all the problems we ran into financially, and
Oh,
it was just very challenging, and it was definitely a uphill battle the entire time. But now we're crossing the finish line, and we have our premiere this Saturday at the Mammoth Film Festival. We're nominated for 5 awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress, Best Cinematographer, and Best Genre Film, which is really, really cool. So I'm excited to go up to the snow and celebrate the movie with the cast and the crew, producers, and my writing partner. and my family's coming up, so I'm very very excited to show the film to an audience because I just got back from Bulgaria a couple days ago, and that's where we did the finishing for the movie. So the color correcting, the sound mix, the Foley, all the sound design was all done in Bulgaria and Sofia. So I've been there for a month, and I just got home, and I've seen it in a theater. Nobody else has yet, and I can't wait for. I can't wait to just sit in a theater with an actual audience and hear the nice 5:1 mix and the color and see it in its 4K glory. So
It must have been absolutely it must have been absolutely crazy to have to go back there. Now, was that planned to go back to Bulgaria, or was that because of necessity?
I mean, nothing was really planned at all for this movie. It's just these different chapters and life circumstances. Somehow we worked out a deal with this incredible company in Bulgaria to help us finish the film because it's an indie. So we're looking for people to help us and partner with us and give us good deals. And this company, Nuboyana in Sofia, Bulgaria, really came on and helped pitched in to get us over the finish line because finishing indie films it's not like the studio world where they just throw money at everything and banks are financing. This is done with independent financing. You're beg, borrowing, and stealing at every corner just to get to the next chapter, to get to the next, the next facet to finish the film. It's all these little baby steps. It's very challenging and
It's
very
got to be
difficult.
rough. It's absolutely. I mean, it's absolutely rough. Here you are. You're trying to do the film. You're trying to get it finished, and then you got your EP and you're whispering how much money is going out of the account every day. We spent 20,000. We got 30,000 left. We spent 5,000. We got 25,000. And you're getting this in one year, and you're trying to finish the film in the other. How do you balance that to not become overwhelmed with that? Like, is it just trusting the process, just trusting that your EP will be able to get that money, if extra money, or is it something where you feel like you have to stop what you're doing to go get, to make sure it happens yourself? I mean, have you been part of that as a director? Or is part of your role also trying to get the financing to finish a project, or
yeah. So this project, I produce a lot of things for my company, Ulster State Entertainment, with my brother Kieran, but on a smaller scale. I've never produced a feature film before. I am one of the producers on this movie, and I also have other producing partners. But yeah, I was a big part of my role was raising the funding for this film, and it was not it was not easy. Very hard.
Now, why? Okay, because I'm gonna go into depth in here because I'm confused about that because you have I mean, a lot of movies, a lot of projects, they get money based on who you got on the film. I mean, a lot of it's like, who do you have in the movie? When you bring out a cast like you did, I'm just a little bit surprised that they're not opening up the back doors and saying, take as much as you need, because you have a kick-ass cast. This is a movie that a lot of people are going to want to see. This isn't like, well, we hope that we hit. We hope that people like it. We hope that it's good. It's not that. You sort of eliminated that with your cast. It's that stacked. So were you a little bit surprised to encounter the resistance? What was it? Is it because do you think it has something to do with a very soft box office, on the theatrical level? Are people getting a little bit more nervous about making films now because of the financial, the risk seems to be a little bit more higher now?
Yeah, well, you touched on a few different topics there. I think it's harder than ever to get independent films made right now, just because of the climate. One, we're coming out of COVID, where the entertainment business took a massive hit during the pandemic, and it caused a lot of people to be out of work for a very long amount of time, including myself. So it was tough, and we all had to navigate the ins and outs of that while we were while we were trying to get everything back, online and get filming again because it's just a crazy time. Right? And I know it affected lots of businesses, but it took the entertainment business took a big hit. And then coming off that and then getting things going again, and then all of a sudden the SAG and the writers strike and the directors strike all kind of happened at the same time, and then the business took another hit. So you have these entertainment companies who held out for a long time, and because they held out, it really crushed their bottom line. Now everybody's cutting back on spending. You can see there's been massive layoffs in the industry. The box office is just not doing the numbers it was. They're the big studios are constantly banking on these tentpole superhero films, and after a while, I think the audiences are just getting superhero fatigue because they're starting to make the same movie over and over and over again. I think the audience is much more savvy than the studios think they are, and I think they are craving new and fresh stories. But those independent films and those fresh new stories are looked at by these big conglomerates as being high risk or very risky. So that's where us artists have to come in and navigate this world and tell these original stories, basically on our dime. Us going out and finding the money to be able to you know give the audience something new and original, which it's not the 90s anymore. It's not the 70s where like all these independent artists came out and they were flourishing. It's not that time anymore. It's very with social media and the way things are changing, and the way celebrity is changing, and TikTok. Everybody is basically a celebrity now. It's just a whole different universe, and um, I'm just another artist navigating my way through the chaos. But I just want to tell good stories, original stories. I'm trying to do something unique and different, and I just fighting the good fight. And now I'm hopefully going to be able to make more films in the vein that I want to make them without having to fall victim to the corporate elite and do what everybody expects me to do, because that's not why I got into this business in the first place.
No, no. I mean, and you shouldn't have to. You really shouldn't have to fight tooth and nail over it. But it's like some of this. It's funny. You hear all these theaters, and they're always crying. They're always crying and bitching about, about people not coming to the theater anymore. And it's like,
Yeah.
you guys are the most blind people on the planet. If you just got, if you took your eyes off the Disney and the Columbia and the, and Universal, and you went back to some of these movies, some of these smaller movies that Vertical or Lionsgate or
Yep.
what have you are
Yep.
putting out. If you put them inside your theater a little bit more, I think you will find more and more people going to see these movies. It's not the lack of people that wouldn't see these movies. It's just they don't get a chance to.
I know.
Trying to get a distributor trying to, when you just, like, to me, it's like if I'm sitting there trying to get a movie and some distributor comes to me and says, "Let's talk." The first thing and the one thing I want more than anything else is I want a theatrical release. I
Yep.
want people to see the movie as it's supposed to be seen on the big screen.
Yep.
That's what I want. And for them to sit there and say, "Well, yeah, but the Disney movie just came out and they took like I think what was it last year when Doctor Strange came out, and I think they said something like out of 75 screens in Times Square, 70 of them were showing Doctor Strange at
Yeah.
one.
At one time.
How the hell can an independent filmmaker such as yourself, you
I
know,
know.
that's just like it's maddening. It's just like
I
what
know.
70? Do you really need 70? Do you
I
really need
know.
why don't you give Brennan the chance to let him show his movie here or
Yeah.
any other independent filmmaker? It's got to be frustrating.
Yeah.
What options do you have as a producer? Because not only a director, but as a producer, as part of your job is to find distributing. How do you find it? How do you present that to to the distributor? Like, hey, this movie deserves to be seen on the big screen. Can you get me there?
Well, I think, obviously cast is a big part of it. It's, without having cast and a few names in the film, it's really tough to get solid distribution these days because not only is everyone vying for the domestic sales and distribution, is that people are looking at the global market, so international. So you need those names to really help um, push the film along, so that other people around the world can see it. So someone like a Tyrese Gibson is he's a well known name.
Yeah.
He's been in these tentpole films, but the cool thing about Tyrese is that once in a while he will do one of these indies. And I guess the timing was right, and that's how I was able to get him for my smaller film. He's working on these 100, $200 million movies, and he's doing my couple $1 million independent film. So I feel pretty grateful to have him a part of it. And he really enjoyed himself on set. And I think he was really impressed at how well the set was run on such a small budget. And he that's why he brought his A game to the film.
Yeah.
Um, he hasn't seen it yet, but I think he's going to be very proud of the work he did on it.
So let's go back. We'll come back to Fluxx in a little bit, but I
Yeah,
want to bounce back a little bit and let's. How did you and your brother's also in the business? How did
yeah.
you guys get your start? I mean, I always say this with most people I talk to. Most people I talk to that always wanted to start in front of the camera, but a lot of people start in the back. Was this something? Was this you when you first got involved in entertainment? Did you want to be an actor, or did you want to make the movies?
It's funny because I kind of knew what I wanted to be ever since I was a little boy. I actually wrote about it in I guess a school essay when I was 8 years old, that I wanted to see my name you know on the box office, produced and directed by. And I was always doing acting when I was a kid. I did a lot of theater, and I just like performing on stage and stuff. So that was kind of fun for me. And when I got a little older, I realized that I wanted to go into film school. So I went to Hofstra University in New York, and it was great. I was kind of the anti NYU school. I met a lot of great people there. Made some cool. Wait, you went to Hofstra?
No, but I just no, but I'm repping it though for you.
You are totally repping it right now. That's
And that
awesome.
and that
Blue
and
and
that was
yellow.
that was completely unscripted, boys and girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That is awesome. Yep, that's my alma mater. That's
Well,
pretty
there you
cool.
go.
All right. Yeah, so I enjoyed going to I really enjoyed going to film school here. That's where Coppola went to undergrad, was Hofstra. So he did his graduate program at USC, but he's a Hofstra grad. He actually Coppola founded the theater program at Hofstra. He was really involved in the theater program, directing theater and whatnot. So a lot of people don't know that. But yeah, then after Hofstra, after undergrad, I got really I got the itch to get back into acting. So I auditioned and got into the Lee Strasberg Theatrical Institute to study method acting, and I did that for a little while in New York while I was working in the city as a television editor. And then I was like, okay, I was there for 9/11. The city was crazy. I stayed in the city for another year, and I've been in New York my whole life. I grew up in Rockland County, about a half hour outside the city, and I just realized it was time for a change. Try LA out. Maybe I could focus more on my movie career. So
What was it like on that day on 9/11? What do you remember from it?
um, it was really I still have like scars from that day. I haven't been back to the memorial. I said I'll go back to the memorial with my children. It was a really messed up day. I took a camera and I went down there. I was a block away, and I filmed the building coming down, and no one thought the buildings were coming down. I've been in those buildings, I don't even know how many times, on the observatory. And it just, when it came down, I don't know, I feel like I could feel all the souls of the people in the building pass through me. It's like, I can't explain it. It was just I just knew at that moment, even because I mean, well, I didn't know how many people were left in the building or any of that stuff, or they already cleared the building. But I knew at that moment that a lot of people had died. I felt it, so it was crazy.
It may sound like a strange question, but
Yeah.
do you think that day has influenced you in the way you write your scripts now? Is that part of it in the back of your brain, like that sort of traumatic incident? Does that stay with you as a writer when you're writing, especially
I think
dramatic?
I think all traumatic incidents stay with you forever. Even with the therapy, you try to work them out, but they'll always be there. They're I guess they're part of who you are. But the yeah, I think I think a lot of a lot of different things that I've gone through or I've seen or people I've lost and all these little things
They
build
stay with
build
you?
on who I am as a writer. You know, I feel like I'm a I'm a bright, happy guy in ways, but I have a very dark mind. I write very dark. um, my style is very dark,
Yeah,
but also colorful. If it's kind of where my films have very dark themes, but they're colorful. You know.
yeah, I can
Um,
see that. I
yeah,
can understand that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I just know that sometimes something
Contrasting.
like that, something like an incident like that would just be, you know, a lot of people I know have actually written a lot of stories, and they always use that day or something else to launch them. It's sort of like when someone
Yeah,
comes up to an actor on set and says, "Okay, I want you to cry," and he's like, "How do I do that? Where do I?" And how do I do that?
yeah,
Well, you have to get in touch
yeah,
with your inner self to bring it out. And
yep,
so it's not as easy as it sounds. It's like, people just can't cry on demand like that. Sometimes
yeah,
they gotta go some places.
yeah.
So you're a TV editor. Where were you was this for local news that you were editor at, or?
Um, so yeah, I first started working on like the court shows as like an assistant editor and like digitizer and so yeah, all the remember like in like the early 2000s how many court shows there was so many court shows on like Judge Joe Brown, Judge I mean
Right.
there's more court so I started in that world and which was I mean it was fine. I mean I had a job and I was working in TV. I couldn't complain and they're paying me pretty good. But then I got hired for this channel called the Metro Channel, and they were doing a show called New York Central about all the cool and hip things in New York, like new clubs opening up or new restaurants and blah 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 blah, new theater shows and fashion and all this stuff. And I wasn't ready to be an editor because at the time it took a long time to become an editor. But I somehow got the interview and I just kind of bullshitted my way through the interview and the guys liked me and they hired me and I was not ready for this job. And but I took it because there was a lot of money and it was my opportunity. And I was like, I just got to figure it out because you can't pass on an opportunity like this. And then when I didn't know what I was doing, I would just leave the producer, go to the restroom, and I had my cell phone that I would call the editors that I was the assistant for on the old show and be like, "How do I do this?" They would tell
Oh,
me, I would go back and I would do it. That's
oh, okay.
so. Yeah, that's
But
you got my
every
hustle.
time you did it, though, you got more experienced at it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, of course, yep. So
Yeah.
I've been a professional editor for 25 years, and it's only made me a better director. And with Fluxx, I actually edited the movie as well.
I was gonna say, let's see, let me come up here and I think some people have a couple of questions they've been dropping. Hi, Misty, how are you? Glad you're here for the first time. And she has a question for you, and she says, "Do you ever pull from your own experiences?" I think that's
Yeah,
what we've been talking a little bit about that,
yeah,
and talking, that's yeah. I mean, that's a cool thing to be able to have a reservoir. Not
yeah,
so cool to come back to to have some of the subjects as a reservoir, but still nice to have it there just in case.
yes,
Um,
yes.
and
Pull,
she says
pull.
she loves that. She says she loves the on the job training. Yeah, I do too. That's cool, and I'm glad you mentioned something because I've been saying this now for the last year or so, but I've noticed one thing. I noticed that when it comes down to editing a movie, I think the
Mhm.
best editors are directors. What do you think about that?
I agree. Scorsese was an editor. Kubrick was an editor. So some of my favorite directors were all editors. And personally, um, anything that I write that I feel like I birth, I want to see all the way through. Now, does that mean I have to edit every single project that I work on? No. But anything that I feel like I am a part of the initial concept of it, and it's an idea that came from my head or my writing partner's head, then yes, I'd like to see all the way through. But the post production part of it is very it takes the most time. You're but it's also something very poetic and poetic about being in that editing bay by yourself, putting in these insane hours,
Mhm.
assembling the film. And with Fluxx, I have a little baby boy that he's 15 months, and so I could be around him. I have an office in Beverly Hills, but I set up a little makeshift editing bay in the baby room so I could be around him, and I just edited most of the movie around my little baby son, so I could be around him
Are you are you
in
gonna
the
give
baby room.
are you gonna give him a editing assistant editing credit on the
I
credits for Fox?
I should, but he has a special thanks because he really helped me get through the very stressful time
I just like
putting together this movie.
what's your little boy's name?
His name is Rowan Patrick. Rowan
Could you
Patrick.
imagine, assistant edited Rowan Patrick on the bottom of it? That would be that would be that would be really cute to see. I agree. I just feel like to me, I just feel like a director just seems to. I know there's professional editors, and some of them are probably listening to this and going like, "What are you saying? Shut up!" But I do feel like editors make the best the directors make the best editors because they know what you want. They can
Mhm.
see what you want. They can see your vision. Like I could go in there and I can be an editor, but I can't. I'm not a director, so I can't really see what you're trying to tell. I can only go what I think is what you want. But a director will have come in and go like, I see where Brendan's going with this. Let me see if this works for him. And then they'd probably do something that you would probably look at and go like, I get it. I get it.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
this is cool.
yeah.
Or you got it, so to speak. Hey Mike, how are you? How are you? My good friend Mike from the UK came over to throw some love our way, and
Nice.
and shared us a. Did you hear about the Willy Wonka thing over in Scotland?
I did. It's so funny. I was reading about I was reading about it yesterday.
That's
The lackluster
oh,
event they put on.
talk,
Pretty
talk
funny.
about talk about low budget movie, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, let's see. Okay, and Misty has another question, and she says, "Do you have a after a finished project ritual? Yeah, do you have anything after a movie wraps? Do you have a something you do every time you wrap a project?
Um, no, I don't have. I should start a ritual. I just want to honestly, after a crazy pride, I just want to spend time with my wife and my my son, and just like not do anything if possible for a while. But I feel like
I get it.
we're gonna have a nice little after party for after the premiere on Saturday. So I'm looking forward to that because we haven't really been able to celebrate this film. It's just been a big ball of stress. So um, it'll be nice to have a couple cocktails and be like, all right, we did it. Yeah. So
When you had to go to oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so now you're in Hofstra. Now you're in New York. Now
yeah.
doing the editing. When did you know that you wanted to do more than the TV editor? When you wanted to, it's like, okay, I want to go and do something else and not necessarily here. Did you know that when you went out to LA, did you go out as an actor or did you go out there as a director or a screenwriter? What did you go out to
Mm,
LA as? What did you want to do?
I wanted to act and direct. And the screenwriting part just came with me writing a lot of scripts that never got made. That's how I learned how to become a writer. Just writing and writing and writing and writing and seeing things not get made, and then all of a sudden, wow, something is getting made. It's a lot of practice makes perfect, you know. So, but yeah, I wanted to act and direct, but since then, I have really no desire to get in front of the camera anymore. I don't know why. I know a lot of people like crave that, but I don't. I enjoy. I really enjoy directing. I enjoy the stress of directing. I feel like a kid in the candy store when I'm directing. It's a lot of work. It's very hard. It takes a certain type of person to do it, but I enjoy that stress. I don't enjoy the producing stress, which is more financial. That to me, I don't enjoy. I think I've become a pretty decent producer because I'm getting this film over the finish line, but I don't necessarily love it. But I
No,
really
no, that's the
I love
part.
directing though. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say, the raising finances it's got to be that's got to be the worst job of all for a movie
yeah,
set. I'd rather
yeah.
do
It's not
anything
fun.
else than have to go in there and pitch for money. That's gonna be
Yeah,
difficult. Okay,
it's very
we
difficult.
are actually having a lot of questions here.
Oh,
Okay, from our friend Misty, she wants to know what your favorite cocktail is.
oh, that's a good one.
That is
Probably old fashioned.
an old fashioned.
Good question.
Um, okay. And our friend Mike mentions, does Brendan have contacts for screeners if people want to review projects early? So for Flux, if you wanted to review it, how would you be able to help him get a copy for review purposes, or do you have it as a distributor yet?
We don't have a distributor just yet, and I think it's a bit because the first time we're screening it right now, we haven't put screeners out at all, is at the festival. That's probably we'll see where we'll see our first reviews. But
Okay.
once we have a distributor, then we can release screeners for that. And I would love to
Yeah,
get more. Yeah,
yeah.
I have
You're taking the festivals, right?
yeah, we're gonna do some festivals, but we have a great sales agent attached. VMI is handling worldwide sales, so that's cool, and hopefully we'll get a domestic distributor after Mammoth, or one of the other film markets. So
I'm
we
hoping.
were just
This movie sounds like to me. This movie sounds like it's tailor made for Lionsgate.
it's so funny. I had a conversation with one of my producer partners about that today. I think Lionsgate would be great for this type of
I,
movie.
I think so
That's
too.
exactly what I said. So Patrick, we're on the same page. I think
Yeah,
Lionsgate would be a
yeah.
great home for this film.
Yeah, see, I'm pulling out all the stops today.
Yeah,
The magic is strong
you
today.
are. You got your magic is strong. You're wearing the Hofstra sweatshirt. You have great questions and bringing up
Uh,
Lionsgate.
well, so you get to out to L.A. I have one other question about you. You said about the scripts, though. You know, all the scripts that you wrote and they haven't get made.
Yeah.
I bet you still have them, don't you? You still got all
Oh
those
yeah.
scripts. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
A good
Yeah.
writer always keeps his material because you just never
Yeah.
know. You know,
Uh,
and do you go revisit them very much? Do you have like a writer's box at home where you God, I haven't asked that question in a while. But do you have a writer's box at home where you have all the scripts that you've written, and and then once in a while on a rainy day, you go ahead and grab one and go like, yeah, let me see what I can do with this, and then you start working on it again. Do you ever revisit the
mm,
old one?
there's only one project that I've been tinkering around with that I with the writer who I initially optioned from, who now I've been writing with on the project. That's my next film. So that one I tinker around with all the time. And it's been like 10 years of tinkering. I've had different actors attached to it, different producers attached to it. We had Ben Kingsley attached to it for a minute. Like Daniel Radcliffe was thinking about doing it, and like it's been through so many iterations. But that one, I'm just, that one I'm not letting die because it's just too good. And that's the after Flux, um, that's the next film I want to do. It's which is also a thriller. So.
Well, when we hear the term attached, we hear that, but for the average person on the street, what does the word attached mean to what's the word?
Me,
What does that term mean?
we ain't saying they'll do the film. They'll you're negotiating. They'll do the film. They're interested in the project. But then if you can't get the pieces together, you can't get the rest of the money together. Then eventually those actors leave, or actors are different. Some actors will just give their name to attach to a film to help you raise the financing. Some actors won't even think about coming on until you have the financing. So that's a catch-22 that you can run into. So this it's a very it's a hard game to play.
I
it's
was just
not
gonna
it's
say.
not it's not it's not easy. I've been going at this now for 25 years. I feel like I'm 45 now. It's taken me a solid 25 years to get to a place where I feel like I'm very, very confident in who I am as a filmmaker and as an artist. Taking me
Oh,
that long.
definitely. Your
Yeah.
background, your background was most impressive. You've won so many different awards. You've done so many great things in your career. People. I was, I was researching when you and I first started talking. I was blown away. I'm like, man, this guy's on fire. He's
Oh,
got
thanks.
the people the people you worked with, some of the cast members you worked with. It's just an amazing. You've had a great career.
Oh, thank you.
You got to work with Pierce Brosnan on the History
Yeah.
Channel. History's
Yeah.
Greatest Heists. How
Yeah.
much fun was that?
That was awesome. I mean, I'm a big Pierce Brosnan fan. He was my James Bond. So growing up, that was my Bond. And he's Irish. I have my dual citizenship, even though I was born in America. I'm a citizen of Ireland as well. So we got to talk a little bit about the motherland. His middle name is Brendan, so that was really cool. We had my brother and I had a great rapport with Pierce on History's Greatest Heist, and really proud of that show. That was a challenge too, and I think it turned out great. And it's having a whole new, from what I hear from everybody, it's having a whole new life on Hulu. It's been on like the front page of Hulu now, so it's having a whole nother life. More
Yeah,
people are getting to know about the show.
isn't that weird how that works? I mean, have you seen other projects that you've done in the past? Have you seen them come back up to the forefront like that?
No, not like History's Greatest Heist, but Pierce Brosnan is a pretty big international star, and I
Yeah.
think the show is really cool for a docu series. Kieran and I shot the recreations. We approached it like we were shooting a film. So we shot these recreations like we were shooting a movie, like mini movies. That's how we approach our recreations. We've done. We did another show for Discovery Plus called UFO Witness, which was a lot of fun because it was all about different alien encounters, and I got to use like alien puppets, and I mean it was awesome. Spaceship encounter, abductions and like crazy stuff, and I got to be super creative with that. So, and and the budgets were really small, so my buddy who's another director, he calls me like the like, even though he didn't necessarily make a lot of great films, but he calls me like the Ed Wood of of recreations because of the creative, crazy stuff I got to do with these like alien puppets. But it looks legit, like the stuff we did.
Yeah.
It was very challenging.
So
But fun.
let's dig into this a little bit. Like, okay, now did you meet some of the people that these stories happened to, and
Oh yeah.
what was your take on their stories? I mean, you're making this series, but I mean, are you like, is there half of you going like, yeah, this could happen, and is there half of you going like, okay, where's Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum at? Where's Independence?
Yeah, it's funny because I met a couple of the people, but my brother is the one who he DP'd and shot all the interviews. I just directed the recreation. So Kieran he traveled the whole country to go out and meet these people, and you know maybe some people are flat earthers, and their stories are a little off the cuff, but some of these other stories I'm totally into, and I believe. I'm a believer. You know my mother is very into the extraterrestrials. She's told us since we were young that she's been abducted, so I've always been into this whole thing. So like this
Sure.
was perfect for my brother and I to dive into and have fun with it. And there's a cool sci-fi element to the whole docu series. So it was really fun and very, very challenging because when you don't have a big VFX budget, how do you pull these things off? So we did almost everything in camera. We went, very close encounters with big lighting and lighting on tracking, dollies and stuff to really create the ships and stuff. So we did a lot of really cool stuff with condor lighting, like, and just blowing out. Just it came out. I think it came out awesome. It was just
Uh,
really challenging,
now,
But
did you have
there's a will, there's a way.
did you have to interview for this directing job, or
Oh,
did they already know from your work and they just say, hey, would you like to do this?
oh no, for all these jobs we get interviewed for, and we gotta pitch ourselves and the whole works. The new Actually, I just got a new job, my brother and I, for AMC. It's going to be about the tailor to the mafia in the 70s, and we're Kieran and I are going to be directing the recreations for that. And that one we didn't really have to interview for because
Like
we
they
because they had seen history's greatest heists, so we got basically hired off of that. So it's nice to know that people are starting to, because for a while when you're coming, you're always pitching, you're pitching, you're pitching, and I get it's part of the process. But when you're going to heavy pitch yourself, because you're trying to build your career and build your company real, it's a hustle. But now I think we're starting to get noticed off of our work, where we don't have to pitch as hard, which is awesome. But I think we're finally getting to that place where our work is starting to speak for itself.
uh,
So yeah.
so bounce back to the History Channel one. Now, how did that one happen? Which one happened first for you? Was it the UFO one that happened, or was it the Greatest Heist? I mean, which
You,
one of those shows came first?
UFO, and I'm glad UFO was first. It was a smaller budget, and it really prepped us for Heist. Heist was definitely a bigger show. We even shot on like volume stages. That's where we shot Pierce. We integrated Pierce into the heists, which was really cool. Where the first show, first docu series ever to utilize volume technology. So the LED screens, not green screen, where like the image is there and you bring in the foreground elements and it feels like you're there. We were the first show ever to do that. First docu series ever to do that. And Pierce Brosnan, he was just in the movie Black Adam. He's done tons of movies. He had never worked on a volume stage before. It was his first time ever, and I couldn't believe it. He had never worked on one before, so
Uh,
that was pretty cool.
was he really fun to hang out with? I mean, was he was okay? Let me ask you. I'm gonna put you on the spot here, but what five actors that who you worked with, male and female? What five actors would you want to be stranded on a desert island with if you had to? If you could pick five of the artists that you worked with, which five would it be?
Five actors that I've worked with.
Yeah,
Well, okay, Shelley, because Shelley's probably the most amazing actor I've ever worked with. She's on another level. She plays five roles in my movie. She's like mind blowing, and she's become like a little sister to me. So she'd be great. Another actor, Shiloh, of course, because Shiloh is my best friend.
that's right.
um,
That's right.
Pierce Brosnan, definitely.
Yeah.
He's a cool. Pierce is really cool, and it was just a kind of it's a trippy experience to someone you look up to who's talking to you like you're their director, you're their boss. So that was just trippy to me. I'm James Bond's boss for a few days. It was
Yeah.
crazy. And plus Pierce we had some great conversations. He told me his whole life story, but he ate lunch with the crew every day. That's how cool Pierce is. He'd bring his own sandwich and he would eat with the crew, not in his little dressing room. He just would eat with us, and I thought that was really a stand-up guy thing to do. Eat with the crew. And who else? I did a movie with Method Man from the Wu-Tang Clan, the rapper.
Sure.
I was a huge hip hop fan growing up. It was one of my genres that I loved, and Wu-Tang was one of my favorite groups. And Method Man was kind of an idol to me growing up. And next thing you know, he's starring in my movie, and we had a great rapport doing my comedy Lucky Number. And so he would definitely be number four. I think that's four. Number five, maybe Cedric the Entertainer. because he was great to
Oh,
work with.
yeah,
Yeah,
I love
he's really funny, and he was just an awesome guy to work with, and just a pleasure to be around. I think that's probably my five, but I'm sure there's others that I'm just forgetting about right now.
Yeah, I'm looking through the cast of Lucky Number. What's going on with this? Your cast for Lucky Number is it's insanely strong.
Yeah,
You
well,
did really well
everyone
with
wasn't
that.
big stars yet. Brett, what's his name? Tom Pelphrey wasn't a big star yet. Now he's a pretty big star.
Yeah,
When he was just coming up when we did Lucky Number, now he was on. He had a huge role on Ozark. He was in Mank with David Fincher. I mean, his career. He was in Banshee. He's blown up, and he's also um, his
but you spotted that. You spotted
yeah,
him. You spotted how good he could be, and you gave him a
yeah,
role. I mean,
yeah.
is that one of the more what was is that what's more satisfying as a director or a screenwriter, watching your movie break box office or watching a star who you cast suddenly blow up?
I think, I mean, a little bit of both, but I think watching someone that you cast or you work with really blow up, I think is really, really cool that you're like, oh, I had an eye for this person beforehand, especially seeing like someone like Shiloh's career really flourish. And then I worked with Juno Temple when she was just kind of coming up, and now she's a massive star. She
Yes.
was in Swerve, and now, she's on Ted Lasso, she's in Fargo,
Yeah,
and just seeing her.
I think she did that Lisa Frankenstein movie too. I think, or no, that was
Oh,
Diablo Cody. That was Diablo Cody.
Cody, yeah.
Juno Temple did one called it was about the magic jar. I saw her do that. I'm trying to remember that was. It was a small independent movie, but it was
Oh
crazy
yeah.
good. Yeah, every time they would
I,
have to hurt you have to get hurt in order to get money to come out from the jar. Oh my gosh,
all
crazy ass movie.
right, I have to see that.
Uh, uh,
She's
uh,
by the way, Juno's an amazing actress. She's a great actress.
so is it hard? Is it hard for you? I mean, because you seem to be able to do anything, Brendan. I mean, you can do shorts, you can do features, you can do docudramas. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can just flow that easily. It really, I mean, you see people try to do, sometimes directors will try to do comedy, and then they'll try to do a drama, and they can't make it. Or some people, who I won't mention, like that guy from Halloween and the trilogy and the Exorcist movie, they just they just don't
Yeah,
they don't get it.
yeah.
They don't get it, and they crash and they burn. What do you think your secret is to be able to do anything? Is there a genre yet that you have yet done that you want to take a crack at?
Well, all right, these are all great questions. My secret is that I just need to be enjoying it. I have to enjoy the process. If I'm enjoying the process, I feel like it's gonna. I consider it a success because I'm putting my all into it. But the crazy thing is that I think Fluxx is such a crazy movie. It's a psychological thriller, but it's blanketed in subgenres. So there's horror, there's sci-fi, there's a soap opera sequence in it, there's drama, maybe not too much comedy, maybe just a tinge. But I wanted to make a movie that had all these crazy genres in it. So I haven't made a full length sci-fi film, but there's a whole sci-fi sequence in Fluxx. There's a complete horror sequence in there. But I enjoy horror films. I'm not a die-hard horror genre person. I think maybe on sci-fi I skew towards more, or fantasy. But like I mean, recently the last couple of years I've been diving like deep into like horror, and because after I did the horror sequence in Fluxx, I realized how challenging and difficult horror is.
It
It's
really
way
is.
more challenging than people think because it's super stylized, and every little thing has to be so calculated in order to pull off. So now I have this whole new love for horror. Like I started to revisit like every single Hellraiser again. I'm obsessed with the original Nightmare on Elm Street, the Wes Craven one. So I watched those like 1,000 times. Like, obviously Shining is one of my favorite movies. Different type of, it's more suspense horror, but like I just keep diving into these crazy films. But then I really dove into like all of Dario Argento's films, and I love Dario Argento, especially 70s Argento. And I think he's had a big influence on me and his style of filmmaking, which is it's horror and almost in a very vibrant sense.
Yeah, a lot of colors with him.
A lot of colors, and and if you see Fluxx, there's a big influence there with Argento to me, and I just think he's incredible. You know, especially the '70s films that he made. So just diving into his catalog and going on that. He's a madman. I love it.
Yeah, he's definitely a lot of his work is just really impressive, real impressive.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest Shining fan. That's the one movie.
Oh God, like The Shining.
No,
really?
I love the book. I love the book.
Okay, that's probably why you don't like the movie then. That's what some people say. I love that movie. Kubrick's probably my favorite director.
He's done some great movies. I mean, I can't deny the man. I can't deny the man that. I mean, definitely he made some great movies. He just but every great director, they have one movie that I really believe if you asked him today, if you really asked him, if he was really dead honest with you, I really think that he would tell you that he would have redone that movie. I have a feeling he would have. I have a feeling he would have. I have a feeling he probably would have liked to have redone it. I get that feeling more and more the years go by. Well, I think if he actually saw the results of that, because I never really saw any interviews afterwards with him. Like he'd never really go on there and say, "This is why I made the movie the way I made it." I never saw him do that. And I think he knew that. Is that the reason why you like to write your own scripts? So you don't have to be at the beholden of source material.
Yeah, I like it's fun. Like I have a writing partner I work with, Keontae, and it's just fun to like come up, just bird these things and create these crazy stories with these imaginary characters. It's just I don't know. It's just a lot of fun just pulling this stuff out of thin air, and all of a sudden it becomes a real tangible thing that you have in front of you, and then these actors that are saying your lines, and the whole experience is surreal. And then next thing you know, you're watching it on the screen, and you're like, "What the fuck?" This just came from like a crazy idea, and next thing you know, it's a real living, breathing thing. I don't know. There's something really romantic and poetic and just really surreal about the whole process of writing.
My friend Rick, now that you got into side horror, he says, "Have you seen Headless?"
Oh God, no. I have not seen Headless.
Okay, well, that's a bonkers movie. That's way out there. That's good.
I like out there.
Well, that's about as far as you can get. Well, that and the Human Centipede 1 and 2.
I've seen that Human Centipede. That one's really fucked up.
You know what really messed up? I saw this to somebody yesterday. You know what really messed up? What the Human Centipede did for me? It really messed me up in the fact that I can't watch Silence of the Lambs anymore. Because the human centipede is just so much more out there and so much more bonkers. When I went to watch the Silence of the Lambs, it was like watching a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
That's so funny.
It was like, this used to be really effective, but then I watched the centipede. Has that happened to you? Have you ever watched a movie that has changed you that much? Like, well, this movie's badass, but then you watch something out there and you come back there and you try to watch that movie that you really enjoyed, and all of a sudden you look at it and go like, it's missing something.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Certain things that struck a chord with me when I was young. Sometimes you go back and you revisit and you're like, wow, this movie is really, really bad. And I remember I got really emotional watching it or something, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be horror. But I love Silence of the Lambs, Jonathan Demme. That's a great movie. But I see what you're saying, because when you first see it, it's like it's so disturbing, and then you see something else that's way more disturbing, And then, yeah, it was funny because like I remember like feeling this crazy emotion watching this movie when I was a kid called Rat Boy.
Okay.
It's about
Yeah,
this boy is a rat and he doesn't fit in. And somehow I made this connection when I was a boy to this rat boy, and it just had this like overwhelming thing. And I watched it again recently, and I was like, wow, this is awful. This movie is so bad. I don't know how I felt this thing that I felt from it. But then again, I felt that when I watched the movie The Neverending Story, and I still feel that from it. You know,
right,
I
right.
like I got when I was a little boy, and I that that for me, where I think everything changed for me was that my parents took me to the drive-in when drive-ins were still around,
Mm.
probably like the tail end of when they were around. This is probably early 80s, to go see Goonies. And my parents had a station wagon, and they would like, bring popcorn and candy and stuff, and we get our pillows and stuff, and the kids would be in the back in the station wagon, they'd be in the front, and we watched the Goonies, but I guess it was a double feature, and my parents fell asleep for the second movie. The second movie was The Never Ending Story. And meanwhile, I'm what, 7 years old, so it was like I just watched this amazing movie Goonies, which blew my mind, and then The Never Ending Story came, and it was just like it was so overwhelming, these two stories that I hit. It changed everything for me. Like I was like, it took both those films took me to a whole nother universe, and I just knew how much I love movies and cinema, and I was like, I need to be a part of this. Like this is amazing. The feel I can still go back and feel that. I can't tap into too many things from my childhood that I really remember, but I remember that moment so vividly. So
Yeah, yeah. I remember watching movies like that too, where I watched it and it just stayed with me. It
yeah.
just stayed with me when I was younger. And one of the movies that I saw was Promises in the Dark with Marsha
Uh,
Mason and
yeah,
Kathleen.
yeah,
Who would have ever known, how much, some a movie like that would come back, or
yeah.
planes, trains, and automobiles. I can't watch
Yeah,
that movie. I can't watch that thing anymore. I can't watch that movie. I watched it when it came out, and
yeah,
it was just like, it was so powerful, and it was moving. It was just like, and then then all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation like in the movie, and then all of a sudden it's like, I can't believe that's me. You look
yeah,
at a character on screen, you go like, that's where I'm at now. How the hell
yeah,
did it happen to me? And
yeah,
here they made a movie about it. It's
yeah,
fascinating. It's fascinating. The human condition. Mm. So let's talk a little bit about real quick. Let's talk about you mentioned your writing partner twice, and I would be remiss if I did not ask about your writing partner. How did you
yeah.
meet, and what is it like to co-write versus writing by yourself?
We met because I optioned a script of his, and then he became like just my guy during the whole Fluxx thing. Like he had this idea for this script called like The Loop. It's funny because like it all comes full circle in Fluxx, and I was like, oh, this is a pretty cool idea about someone that can't gets kind of stuck in this whole thing. It was like a Groundhog Day type thing, but I wasn't crazy. I just liked this idea he had, but I didn't really love the whole conceit of the script. So I was like, I have an idea off your idea. Do you maybe want to just do a page one rewrite with me, and we'll just work on this thing together? It was during COVID, and it was just a weird time, and I was home, and he was like, all right, let's do it. And then we wrote Fluxx together, and since then we've written like four pilots together as well. He and I just hit it off, and like he's working on another film that I'm directing a section of in the next couple months. I got him hired as one of the writers. He's from New Jersey. I'm out here. We do all the writing over the phone, and we just click. We just get each other, and I enjoy writing with him more so than I would writing by myself. I like having that back and forth to bounce ideas off of. It's I don't know. I just enjoy that process. I enjoy like writers' rooms and things like that. I just like the idea of bouncing back and forth. I don't know, just being by yourself and writing and not being able to. I don't know. I like the dynamic. It's
What's
more
more
enjoyable.
What's more difficult to write, even out, as a duo or as by yourself? What's more difficult to write, a feature film or a pilot? Because don't you have to write, like, to me, I always feel like when you write a pilot, you got to write like, okay, you're writing for that particular show. Like a movie is self-contained. It's like, okay, here's the beginning, here's the middle, here's the end at the end of the movie. But for a pilot, it's like you got to think about how many episodes can you possibly get from this? How long can you? To me, I think a lot of TV shows, especially one that really got well known for this was Watchmen. The guy came out there and says that, he made the pitch to do the Watchmen series for the WB for Warner Brothers. He wrote one season, and then they said, okay, we want you to do another one. And he says, I don't have any more ideas. So to
Mm-hmm.
me, it's like when you write for a pilot, do you think long term, or do you write just in the moment?
Um, well, with a pilot, you gotta think long term, because if you're gonna go pitch it, they want to know what's gonna be happening in season 5 and 6. That's gonna be a question they're probably gonna ask you.
Yeah, yeah,
It's part of the pitch process. But usually you would only write the pilot. You wouldn't write any more of the episodes. You just have your breakdown of how you see at least the first season going, and then have little blobs for where you see the rest see the rest of the seasons going, like little paragraphs. So you got to start thinking ahead for the show, because you will get drilled with those questions. But they're both different. I still think I enjoy writing film more than I like writing
yeah.
TV, but they're both, pretty much, I don't know. It's still creative, and I still get to write the way I like to write. And, I remember everything's so subjective, and everybody has their own style, and you're going to get notes from everybody, every which way. I'm sorry. That's the one thing I've realized now is like how subjective this all is. Like, someone can come in and just tear the whole thing apart, and another person come in and be like, "This is brilliant." Leave it just as is. There's no right way or wrong way of doing this. Like, everybody just has an idea. So I'm just doing it the way I want to
But
do
when
it.
you when a director negotiates the contract, uh, or their agent negotiates with them, can't they put that in there? Can directors be protected from that? Like it seems like every movie now comes with, like, every big budget movie, and there's like 20 suits, on the set.
Mm,
And isn't there any way
yeah.
to protect the writer, the creatives, that are doing the movie from that sort of interference?
Um, I haven't made a studio level film, but I've dealt with networks and studios on other projects, I've been a part of. So I can only speak from those. I think sometimes a lot of corporate influence can muddy, the creative vision. But also, I get that they're the ones cutting the checks, so there's a fine balance. You can't just go be in there and like, this is my way and that's it. Like, and there's only a few directors that can really do that and get away with it. Christopher Nolan, Quentin Tarantino. There's just not many guys. I mean, probably a handful that can go in and be like, "This is the way it's going down, and you guys can't tell me what to do." And I'm talking about very few. Even the big guys, even the Scorseses of the world, have to answer to the suits. And it's a bold choice. I've accepted the fact that once I get to that level, I'm going to have to deal with that as well, and it's fine. I get it that it's called the entertainment business for a reason, but you still want to be able to keep your artistic vision, and you don't want to get pushed around to the point where they're just walking all over you, and that's not the point. And I don't feel like I'm a person that's going to get walked all over by anyone.
No,
So
no, no,
uh,
no. I've got that
I,
impression the first two
yeah.
minutes we started talking. No, I
For,
just think plus your track record is outstanding. I mean, it's like I think anybody that looks at your body of work can instantly realize that, okay, we might leave notes for him, but we're not going to leave pages of notes. We don't need to do that. This is a skilled operator. Let him do what he needs to do. And
yeah.
um, so as far as that goes, as when you guys co-write together now, um, you mentioned before you guys talk on the phone or do something like this. How do you
Oh,
guys cover how do you cover an impasse? If you guys hit a wall, how do you guys resolve something like that? Because writing is so personal, and you see things, your way when you're writing. So how when that happens, how do you resolve that?
Well, the good thing about Keontae and I and the way we write is that we 99% of the time we both agree, and usually one idea trumps the other, and we just bow down to one another very easily. It just works like that. One idea trumps the other, we just move on. But if we run into a when I run into like a wall and writer's block,
Mm.
this might sound weird, but if I ever have a problem with a scene, what I do is I go and like take a nap, and I kind of I'll close. I'll be like half sleeping, half not, almost like lucid dreaming. And it's lucid dreaming is pretty powerful thing. I've mapped out lots of scenes and lots of ideas like half sleeping.
Do
So
you, do you, do you ever hear yourself talking when you do that?
I don't know. I'm half sleeping. That's my wife. but but I know it works because the mind goes into this like REM state where a lot can be accomplished in a very short amount of time, and you have no distraction. So it's almost, I guess, what like I guess meditating would be, but it's not. To me, it's not meditating. It's like a half sleep, and I have to make sure that I wake myself out of it and write everything down immediately, and I can do that. If I don't, then it's gone. If I don't wake myself up out of these things where I map out ideas or come up with stories or treatments, because I can map out a whole movie in one night, a treatment, but I have to go and write the whole thing down. If not, I'll wake up and I will for. If I don't do it at that moment when I'm like, wake up, do this, it's gone. See you
That,
later.
that gotta be
So,
that's gotta be the worst thing, feeling in the morning, to wake up knowing that happened and you didn't write it down. Then you try
uh,
to chase it. Then you try to chase us the rest of the day.
yeah, nah, it's happened many times, but I've also a lot of my ideas have all come from like dreams and sleeping, majority of them. Or even another thing, when you're driving in the car by yourself, if you go on a drive and just have music on, especially music really without words, something with the road, and does something to the mind, and just all of a sudden these thoughts just start flooding through, and you can map out ideas then too. It's almost like a weird meditative state you get in just going for a drive, you know, without distraction.
Um, we got a couple minutes late here, but I still want to ask you a couple of questions here.
Yeah.
What's it like to direct a person? Like, people say film director, but what's it like to actually come into an actor and direct them in what you want them to do? How do you approach that? I mean, what kind of approach do you take in getting someone to get where you want them to be? Uh, because a lot of times, it's to me, it's always been, to me, the trickiest part of the whole thing about acting is, how do you stop somebody there and tell them, well, I don't see you playing it this way, but I want you to do it this way. And to me, it's like, especially when you experience, especially if you're dealing with more seasoned actors that have been around for a while, and yet you walk up there and you still tell them that, like, this is what I want you to do. This is how I see you do it. How hard is that to do as a director? And is it easier to do now that you have your experience?
Oh,
And is it easier as now that you're an experienced director to do that? And how did you handle it when you were just first starting out?
yes, it's definitely much easier now. I have way more experience. For me, I studied acting a majority of my life, so I kind of know how to communicate with actors. I get it. I get that language. But also, it's a delicate dance that you're doing. So
Mm.
there's every director's different. Some directors just like my way or the highway. This is how I want it done. That's not how I approach things. I like to me, I love the collaboration with the actor because you never know what's going to come out of a performance, and at that moment, what's fun is like I want, instead of a director just going over and just getting, I want this one take. It has to be this way. We have to do it 50 times, or we're not getting it right. I want to get as many different types of takes so that when I'm in the edit, I'm like, wow, I have all of these options. Let's see which one's better. And sometimes what I'll do is that I'll even take a few different takes. I'll chop them up so you're getting a different inflection in the one line or one monologue, but it's like 4 or 5 different takes. So it becomes weird and unusual and strange because I'm chopping it together. So I did a lot of that in Fluxx, and I enjoy that. And I want actors to be able to be excited and bring something to the table as well. So I make sure they always get their take. And if they have ideas, let's do it. If we have the time, let's do it. If I have an idea, let me do mine. And it's I try to make it fun because if that collaborative effort's there, then you get the best out of people. But if we go in there with that dictator mentality, it puts everybody on edge. And then I don't know. That's not how I want to approach things. When I was first coming up and I PA'd on some movies and stuff like that. I watched these asshole directors, and even on some commercial shoots, they were just they were just so mean to everyone, and like everyone was on edge, and it was just like the environment was horrible, and it just everybody felt like they were walking on eggshells, and I was like, I'm never going to be like this. Everyone, that's not the set I'm going to have. I want everybody to feel like, all right, we're all in this together. It takes a village. Let's do this. Let's work. You'd be surprised if people believe in the project and in the filmmaker and the vision. Everyone's going to work that much harder. And at the end of every shoot day, I go and thank all the crew. I go to every single person I can find, and I thank them, and I shake their hand.
You could tell that in a movie. I think that's one of the reasons why it can elevate a movie from being from a movie from being good and or being bad. A lot of times you'll watch a movie and it's bad because it's like there's lack of direction, or there's lack of acting. They don't look like they want to be here. I mean, I don't know how many times I watched a movie and I've seen someone just phone it in, or they act like they don't want to be there, and you wonder, it's like, then you hear people write about, well, the acting wasn't very good. Maybe it's not so much the acting wasn't very good, but maybe the direction wasn't. Maybe the person wasn't so kind to that person. Didn't give them helpful advice. And then you see it then you see it through the acting, or
Yeah.
you do see it.
Yeah. Well,
Is that an old fashioned now? I mean, you don't see that very often now these days, do you? Or
directors, I
hearsay?
mean, directors can blame whoever they want. If the movie's bad, it's going to fall on the director, and that's that.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
director's film. You can blame as many people as you want, but if it's a shitty movie, it's falling onto the director. Yeah.
What movie of yours, if you could go back and redo it, what movie would you do of yours if you could go back and redirect the brand new remake it? What movie would you pick?
Okay, I wouldn't redo anything because I don't like to even think about the past. I like to focus on the future, present and future. So I don't even want to redo anything. They are what they were. I made those at a specific time when I was feeling something. Just like I paint as well, and a painting, it's like you're feeling something at that time, and that's the art that came out of it. Maybe a film that I don't know if I would have made was my comedy, at the time, because I feel like although I'm proud of what I was able to accomplish, even though I didn't write the script, I don't know if I would have went that path because I got kind of pigeonholed as a comedy director, and
Mm.
I'm not a comedy director. I'm a very stylized, director. My films have always been very stylized, my shorts and stuff. And then I've done some experimental stuff, and I made a comedy, and I got kind of pigeonholed there. So I was trying to pitch thrillers. People were like, "Well, you only made a comedy feature. I don't care about these short films. This is what your movie. This is what I see you as." So that kind of
Oh,
kind of boned me a bit, for a while, and that's why it took a long time for me to get my next film made. So I realized that that kind of hurt me in a way, even though I am
you
proud
did
of what I did on that film.
you only made the one feature and instantly got pigeonholed. Isn't that something?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
because people look
that's
like people are
weird.
looking at your really your last piece of work, and if it's a movie, it's it it's a funky business. That's why on Flux, it's a thriller, but there's all these subgenres because I was like, you know what? I'm tired of people telling me I can only do this one thing. I'm going to show them I could do everything, and
Right,
in one
right.
movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I tell you what, we have
Yeah.
hit our mark, so
Yep.
I will go ahead and wrap this up. Real quick though, I'm going to go to the chat room here that they've been sitting here watching us. But if you have any last minute questions for our guests, feel free to drop them in. Any questions for Brendan, please drop them in as we talk as we wrap this up. Um, yeah, thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. Thank you for coming in. This has been awesome. A lot of people really enjoyed this one. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Fo-
I,
Follow
I
Flux Thriller on Instagram. I'm Brendan Gabriel Murphy on Instagram. Just to once Flux is released, which will be released this year, tell everyone, family, friends. Let's build some hype around this
oh,
this
we're gonna
indie
do that.
thriller.
We're gonna do more than that. We're gonna contact the director of the movie, and we're getting him to get us some of this cast to come on here and talk to us.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
got an insight. I got an insight on the
Yeah.
director.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna talk, we'll be happy to talk to we'll be happy to talk to Shiloh and Tyrese you even got Henry Ian Cusick in there. I know him.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
really good actor.
Yeah, he
He's
plays
a
the
strong
detective in the movie. He's great. From Lost and Scandal, and he's done
Law and
a
Order.
ton of Law and Order. Yeah, he's done a lot. He's very very talented. So it's lucky to get him.
I put all the social. We'll put the Flux. We'll put the Flux Instagram down in the description box afterwards, and so you guys can go check that out as well. Hopefully, like I said, I think this movie Screaming Lionsgate. Hopefully, that's where it will land. It'll get a theatrical release and it'll get a home physical media release. That's what's most important.
Yeah,
Hopefully, we'll be able to get a Blu-ray and a DVD out of
yeah,
it. That seems to
yeah.
be you don't really before that would that would be automatic.
I know.
Not so much these days.
I know. It's weird because it's died out, and now physical media is making a comeback again. Like
Yes.
vinyl's coming back, CDs are coming back, Blu-rays are coming back. So I'm hoping all that works out. Yeah, it's people want tangible things they can hold again. So it's weird. Everything's so weird.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get a read on it.
people don't want just to watch streaming. They want to have that in their hand. And it's so
Yeah,
funny. They keep on trying to tell us, no, you don't. And the people are telling them, yeah, we do.
yeah,
We want it. And the numbers and the streaming services are they're reflecting that.
yeah.
A lot of movies come out on a lot of movies come out on streaming and they get pounded to death. They get crushed.
I know.
They get crushed because I think a lot of people are yeah, I'm watching it on streaming, but I'm going to tell you how much I hate it because I don't get a chance to have a physical copy. So that's
Yeah,
their retaliation is to sit there and crap at it. A lot of these
yeah,
streaming only movies you see on IMDb, and next thing you know, Rotten Tomatoes, they got horrible scores. And part
I
of it, I think,
know.
is a society saying, "Hey, we want physical media. We want to be able to. We want to be able to go out and buy this movie right after we see it. Not, we want it." Um,
I know.
a- all right. Well, that will be it
All
for us
right.
tonight. I want to thank you so much for coming in. We will not be here tomorrow. We will be back on Friday. We'll be talking with filmmaker Terry Jarrell and actor John Egan from the film Harlow's Haunt. And that will be here at 8 o'clock on Friday. And then next Tuesday, we will have actress and model Nikki Serenity will be here. Thank you all for coming by, and we will see you Friday night. And Brendan, stay right where you're at for a
Thank you.
second. I'm going to say goodnight to everybody, and we will see you Friday. Peace.